Hello, everyone. This is Letao, your astrologist and your spiritual counselor. Thank you very much for joining this quick video. Today, I'd like to briefly talk about how the planet Saturn works on our birth chart. I usually have clients coming to me and asking about, what I see in their birth charts and why they tend to experience certain blockages or difficulties in their life. Um, and what I noticed that usually the difficulties that the clients tend to have are related to Saturn, Pluto, and also Uranus, these three planets. Neptune can be also challenging as well, but I feel the energy of Neptune is more mild compared to the other three. So if you like astrology, perhaps this is the video for you. Or if you're not really sure how Saturn, this planet, is working in your chart, when you come in to me for a reading session, remember to ask me to check your birth chart and to check how the planet Saturn is working for you. Now, first of all, I do want to say that Saturn, now if you have studied astrology here and there, you probably know that Saturn is not the easiest planet to work with. In ancient Roman mythology and Greek mythology, Saturn was Cronus, right, which was his Greek name, and he pretty much, represents the stern, disciplined, and also the harsh reality that we have to face in our daily life. And so, for example, when we are having Saturn on our chart at a very important angle, or if it's squaring or opposing or in conjunction with any of our significant personal planet, we tend to feel Saturn's influence more compared to other people. So, for example, if you have got Saturn in conjunction with your ascendant, with your sun, your moon, your natal Mercury, Venus, Mars, or it's forming an opposition or a square to those planets, you tend to feel Saturn's influence very strongly. Now, how does that feel when we have got a very strong Saturn influence in our life, or when Saturn is forming in an important angle or aspect, right, to your personal planet? Now, one thing about Saturn that we need to know is that because Saturn is very much like a disciplinarian, so Saturn's energy is not comfortable. Usually, we tend to experience restrictions, limitations, or even fear when we have Saturn, challenging us on our chart. Now, for example, as a very typical example, if you have Saturn in conjunction with your ascendant, where Saturn basically in the first house, very close to your ascendant, we tend to feel very fearful or feeling very self-conscious when it comes to expressing who we are, our body, our self-image, and things like that. Now, it does not mean that you will have problems with your self-image, actual physical problems, even though sometimes that is the case. But it's very much talking about the psychological, the so-called self-censorship or self inflicted criticism, right? Being very self-critical about the way you present yourself. For example, I have a client who has Saturn in conjunction with her first house, and she's very concerned about her legs because she feels her legs are ugly. So even in hot summer, she will never wear shorts or a short skirt. She will always want to cover her legs because she feels her legs are ugly. Now, whether her legs are really ugly or not is not the issue because a lot of people don't really even care, right? People say, we think you're fine, you look great. But somehow she was the one feeling very self-critical in her own mind about, I have ugly legs and I don't want people to see that. Now, more often than not, these kind of self-censorship or self-critical opinions are triggered by something maybe once or twice in their lives. Maybe when she was younger, there was someone that she really trusted or she really loved, told her that your legs are ugly, right? And thus she always remembered that and keep letting that negative memory haunt her, right? So that could be the reason why we keep feeling that sort of like the censorship or the restriction. Now, if you have Saturn, for example, in conjunction, opposing, or squaring your natal Mercury, this could express itself in a different way. As you know, Mercury or Hermes is the god of communication. Now, if someone's Saturn, this restriction or self-censorship energy is sitting together with Mercury, this person could be very self-conscious regarding their speech, how they talk, right? So, for example, I also have seen clients with Mercury squared Saturn, and what they feel is sometimes when they want to say something, they want to express their opinions, they tend to get afraid because maybe they were ridiculed in the past for something they said, right, in the public, and they keep telling themselves that, I shouldn't say things like that, right? Because I would sound stupid. People would judge me, right? I should just shut up. I should just be silent. Or sometimes I also experience people it's a little bit like when they're talking and they realize that nobody is listening. So maybe they are speaking with a group of friends, right? And when they're really talking about something they want to say, they realize that nobody is listening to them, right? Everyone is having their own conversation, but they become sort of like like a monologue, and they feel embarrassed. And so sometimes Mercury, as the planet of self-expression, communication, talking, squaring or opposing Saturn, could give us a lot of fear or self-censorship regarding what I should say. If I say this, will I be ridiculed? Will people think I'm stupid, right? Will my opinion actually be valued? Okay, things like that. Now, there are many, many different things that we can study from the position of the Saturn. Also, one important thing that we always see that could make a client feeling emotionally depressed or feeling lonely is Saturn and the moon. Because our natal moon on our chart is talking about how we want to be nurtured, how we want to feel secure, and how we want to feel, comfortable, included, right? How we want to feel accepted, and that's the position of the moon. Because in astrology, the moon represents home, family. So when someone is born with moon and Saturn forming very challenging angles, first of all, they tend to have very difficult early childhood family environment. Maybe the mother was absent, maybe the father was absent, or maybe both parents neglected the education or the so-called unconditional nurturing and love towards the child. I've noticed a lot of people having moon Saturn difficult angle aspect people growing up very strong because when they were young, they were very used to the environment where they felt unloved. So when they grow up to adults, they usually don't expect people to love them unconditionally. Now, on one side, this makes them very tough, but on the other side, it also makes them very, very difficult to really form an authentic and loving relationship. You can imagine if someone never felt they were authentically loved, not even by their parents, and suddenly there is someone coming to you and say, I love you, right? You probably will feel very uncomfortable. And the second thing that will come up in our mind is, even my mother never loved me. Why would you love me? Right? I don't trust you, right? When you say you love me, I don't believe you, right? And so one thing about Saturn Moon conjunction or opposition or squaring is really expressing itself in a way that these people are very distant. They usually keep people far away from them. They want to keep people at a arm length. And the reason is because they don't want to be hurt. They don't want to be disappointed. They don't want to open their arms to welcome someone who said they love them and then eventually be disappointed again. But sometimes that reaction, right, that self-defensive mechanism could actually be the reason why they're lonely. Because you can imagine if we always keep someone an arm length away from us, you're basically sending them a signal, telling them that I don't need love and I don't want love. So stay away from me. And when other people are getting that signal, even if they are authentically, they're authentic and they're sincere, right, in terms of giving you love, then they will realize, oh, actually, you don't need it. So I'd better walk away. And the result is that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And you will think that, see, I knew you were not sincere. I knew you don't really love me. See, now you're walking away, right? So when it comes to working with Saturn energy, right, depending on what personal planet your Saturn is aspecting, working for, working against, we can find a lot of things to work with and work on in our human psychology. And that's also the reason why when I'm doing counseling sessions, I'm really focusing on what Saturn is doing to their chart and how much it is related to their early childhood and how much it is related to their past memories, how they were treated in their previous relationships, and what made them the way they are. So this is just a very quick video to show you guys, and I really want you guys to pay attention to the position of the Saturn. Now, of course, sometimes when you come to me for a reading session, we're also talking about the transit Saturn, meaning that where Saturn is this year, okay, this month in the sky, and how is that affecting your personal planet? Because the planets are always moving in the sky. Sometimes it comes to help you, sometimes it tends to give you a challenge, and that's fair because it will come to everyone. Okay, it's not just for you or for a small group of people. Everybody in this lifetime, they will have to experience 2 to 3 Saturn returns, and Saturn will form conjunction, opposition, and also square to their personal planets anyway. But it's important that we know when Saturn is coming, and we know that's the time when we need to take extra care of our feelings, of our mind, and also of our even physical health. Okay, thank you so much for listening to this quick chat. I just felt that it was a very important thing to talk about, specifically if you are experiencing a difficult time at this moment. Remember to mention to check your Saturn position and its transit when you come to me for your next reading session. Thank you so much, everybody, and I look forward to seeing all of you guys very soon in the next session. See ya.